organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up tonight on Daily Iowan TV.
Miss Iowa is back on campus and we sat down with her.
The first night game of the season for Iowa football didn't disappoint.
We talk all football and sports and why the atmosphere in Kinnick was even more emotional than usual.
All that and more is coming your way.
Daily Iowan TV starts now.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Cole Johnson.
And I'm Kelsey Stanger.
We begin tonight with buzz on campus. Last night's amazing 57 field goal to bring in a Hawks victory. Ashton and Alyssa, how crazy was last night?
Cole, the stadium was electric from the moment Brett Greenwood led the team onto the field. Little did we know it was about to be a historic night.
The Hawks battled with the Pittsburgh Panthers all night, a tight game that came down to the final seconds. With 57 yards to go and only 2 seconds left on the clock, the hopes of an Iowa victory laid in the kicker Marshall Kane's hands.
The ball snapped, the clock ran out, silence in the stadium as every eye watched the ball leave Marshall Kane's foot and sail through the air. The kick was good and the stadium erupts. Kane's kick was 2 yards short of being the longest field goal in Iowa football history. The record for the longest field goal at any level is 69 yards.
We'll be back later as we give you highlights of the whole game last night and so much more in Hawkeye Sports. Until then, back to you guys at the desk.
Secretary of State John Kerry announced Sunday that the U.S. will significantly increase the number of refugees taken in over the next 2 years. The number grew from 70,000 to 85,000 expected next year and up to 100,000 by 2017. Former officials and activists say the U.S. isn't doing enough to help the crisis, pointing out that Germany had agreed to take up to 1 million refugees this year. Kerry says the U.S. cannot accept more due to the need for security screenings and lack of funding from Congress. Many, but not all, of refugees would be Syrian. American officials have said others would come from strife-torn areas of Africa. Earlier this month, Pope Francis asked every parish in Europe to adopt a refugee family to help ease the crisis.
Speaking of Pope Francis, according to a Vatican spokesman, he opened up his first day in Cuba Sunday by meeting with former Cuban President Fidel Castro. After celebrating Mass in Havana's Plaza of the Revolution, Francis went to Castro's home for a 30 to 40-minute visit. The two exchanged books, discussed their mutual concerns about climate change and the current problems facing the world. Pope Francis praised improved relations between U.S. and Cuba as a model of reconciliation. In Mass, the Pope urged Cubans to care for one another and embrace a life of service.
If you didn't know, this year's Miss Iowa is actually a Hawkeye. Daily Iowan TV's Megan Sanchez sat down to learn more about this celebrity student.
Meet Taylor Wiebers, a 21-year-old Hawkeye originally from Clinton, Iowa, who once dreamed of taking the Miss Clinton County stage. Little did she know she would end up becoming Miss Iowa and eventually competing on the Miss America stage.
Taking the crown that night, it was an amazing feeling. It was one of those things, like I said, back when I was crowned Miss Clinton County, I knew I could do it. I knew if I put everything I had into it, I could do it.
Taylor was crowned Miss Iowa in June on her 4th go at the pageant. She did extremely well at the Miss America pageant, winning 2 preliminary awards for swimsuit and talent and making the top 12. Taylor's platform, Kicking It to Kids Cancer, benefits the St. Baldrick's Foundation.
When I was 16, just about to turn 17, finishing up my junior year of high school, I shaved my head.
As Miss Iowa, Taylor will take a year off of school but plans to return to campus in the fall of 2016 to finish her degree in communications and her certificate in nonprofit management.
Representing Iowa is amazing, and I love the state. I'm very proud to be born and raised here in Iowa, but representing this university especially, it means the world because the students try so hard to make this community the best it can be.
Reporting in Iowa City, this is Megan Sanchez, Daily Iowan TV.
So Kelsey, did you get a chance to go to the game last night?
I sure did. Even my family got to come up, and it made the walk up to Kinnick Stadium a lot nicer with a preview to fall weather.
I agree. Just let's see if this amazing weather is going to continue. Let's toss it over to Casey Lindekrantz in the weather studio to see if this weather is going to stick around. Casey?
Thanks, guys. The weekend's weather has certainly been wonderful, and while the sunny weather is here to stay, some humidity is going to join it. Monday morning is looking to be in the upper 50s, while the afternoon is going to be around 70 degrees. After hitting about a high of 77 degrees around 4 p.m., it's going to cool down to about 63 degrees for the evening, and sunny skies will prevail throughout the day. Tuesday and Wednesday look to be mostly clear, with highs in the upper 70s and lows in the upper 50s. Thursday and Friday look to be mostly cloudy, with highs again in the upper 70s and lows in the lower 60s to upper 50s. Finally, game day looks to be clear and sunny, with highs in the upper 70s and lows in the mid 50s. Well, that's all I have today in the weather studio. I'll send it back to you guys at the desk.
A new report ranks the antibiotic policies at 25 of the country's largest restaurant chains, and most of them failed. But Chipotle, a national chain and Iowa City favorite, received an A according to the report. Chipotle and Panera are the only chains that publicly affirm that the majority of their meat and poultry offered is produced without the routine use of antibiotics. Chipotle spokesman Chris Arnold said he hopes more companies will follow their lead. Scientists worry that consumer consumption of meats containing antibiotics will create an antibiotic-resistant bacteria that doctors will not be able to cure.
Donald Trump made an unlikely stop on his campaign trail Saturday. He stopped at Urbandale High School, where he offered advice to students before their homecoming dance. Trump's words of advice: avoid alcohol and drugs, as well as cigarettes. He also encouraged the teens to follow their hearts and do something they love, even if it means making less money. And now we're going to toss it back over to the sports studio to hear a little bit more about Saturday's game. Guys?
We are wasting no time jumping into things here on this Sunday night.
Iowa football was all the talk in Iowa City, and that continues right now.
There were multiple times in the game Saturday night where Iowa could have shut out Pittsburgh, but it came right down to the end.
Ian Murphy walks us through Iowa's battle on the gridiron. Ian?
Always when these two teams meet, it got physical. The Hawkeyes came out ahead 27-24, but not without a dogfight. Kicker Marshall King got the Hawkeyes on the board early in the first with a field goal. And later, quarterback C.J. Beathard called his own number from 9 yards out to give the Hawkeyes a 10-0 lead. Beathard would finish with 39 yards and a touchdown on the ground. The lead would not last long, however. Jumping ahead to the fourth quarter, the game was tied at 17-all. Running back Jordan Canzeri struck first in the fourth for the Hawkeyes, punching the ball in from the 1-yard line. It was Canzeri's second touchdown on the day. After a review, the play was confirmed that it was indeed a touchdown. Defensive end Nate Myers sacked Pitt's Nathan Peterman to set up a 4th and 15. Pitt, however, would convert and then score 2 plays later from a Peterman pass to wide receiver Tyler Boyd. And with 52 seconds left, the Hawkeyes got the ball, and C.J. Beathard scrambled 3 times to set up what would become a legendary play.
You know, we did a good job executing the plays there and got him within range, and he made a great kick to win the game.
That great kick came from Kane, who booted himself into legendary status and the Hawkeyes to 3-0 and Kinnick Stadium into pandemonium. This is only the 6th time in head coach Kirk Ferentz's career that he's started a season 3-0. For Daily Iowan TV Sports, I'm Ian Murphy.
Wow, Ashlyn, that was a once-in-a-lifetime game.
I know, sitting front row was an unforgettable experience. Since it was the very first night game since 2012, football reporters Taylor Brooks and Laura Bulanda quizzed some Hawkeye fans on their knowledge.
What was the last year that we had a night game here in Iowa City?
Sam's freshman year. Can I call it? Can I phone a friend?
Before us, so it would have been 2012.
You're right. When was the last time Iowa had a night game?
Oh, I know that. 2012.
Nice.
2012.
We got a quick one on our hands.
Oh, that would be 2013.
2012.
Oh.
How many years, including this year, has head coach Kirk Ferentz coached here?
I'd say in the 20.
I'm just gonna smile.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I do not know it.
17 years.
You're right. 13.
I'm gonna say 15.
I don't know.
Just do a guess.
16. I don't know.
17. You're close.
The 17th season.
17 years.
Those are some tough questions. I don't even know if I would be able to get those right.
Me neither, but those people did really well. Saturday night was definitely crazy, as you can tell, and the meaning of the night turned out to be so much more.
And Taylor Brooks tells us why. Taylor?
Some of you may recognize this very spot, but for those of you who don't, this is where the Iowa football team walks out for every single home football game. Now that alone is very symbolic to this Iowa family, but on Saturday night, it meant even more.
5 years ago, Kinnick Stadium stood as Brett Greenwood's main stage.
In his senior season, Greenwood led the Big Ten in interceptions with 5 and is tied for 6th all-time at Iowa with 12. In 2011, just 1 year after his senior year, Greenwood collapsed in his old high school gym due to a heart arrhythmia. The doctors told his family that Brett would never be able to walk again or see. But when he walked the Iowa football team out on their 3rd game of the season, he defied the odds.
You know, the will, the determination that Brett Greenwood has exemplified since 2011, I think some of that rubbed off on our team.
The emotional setting of the game might have been a concern to some, but to many, it served as motivation.
It was just very emotional because he's just gone through so much. You know, he was told that he wouldn't even be able to see, wouldn't be able to walk, and the amount of work that he's done and the success that he's had from all the trials he's been given, it's just so amazing to be behind a guy like that.
Pat Angerer was one person that helped walk out with Greenwood. Angerer is also a former Iowa player and is always Greenwood's right-hand man throughout the road to recovery.
Words can't describe that whole thing, and then I'd back it up to last night. His dad Dave spoke to the football team, and then Pat Angerer followed up.
The usual swarm was a little different for the Hawkeyes Saturday night when they walked behind Greenwood, and the crowd was in awe.
The fact that Brett was able to walk us out is amazing. I mean, people told him he wasn't going to walk, and he said, no, I'm going to walk, and I'm going to lead the swarm out, and for him to be able to do that is amazing.
There are no questions about how close this Iowa football family is, and that was proved once again on Saturday night. Inside Kinnick Stadium, this has been Taylor Brooks for Daily Iowan TV Sports.
I don't think that crowd could have gotten any louder on Saturday night.
Not at all. And hopefully they keep this streak alive against North Texas next week.
We continue our football coverage on Monday night where Laura Bulanda goes more in depth about that beautiful game-ending field goal.
Back to you guys at the desk.
Before we leave you tonight, check out this amazing story of 2 best friends trending online. 2 dogs vanished earlier this month in Washington State. With help from local animal lovers, their worried owner searched for them for days. Phoebe, a small basset hound, had fallen into a deep ravine miles away and was without food, water, or shelter. But Tilly spent a week by Phoebe's side, hoping that rescuers would soon find them. Rescuers entered the ravine calling Tilly's name when they heard a few barks. The dogs were reunited with their owners and nursed back to health. And that's all we have for you on this edition of Daily Iowan TV.
Thanks and have a great night.